All right, fastest 15 minutes on the internet, fastest 15 minutes anywhere, fastest 15 minutes. And my name is Judson Powell. I am the CEO of Capri Television, Capri TV, KHEPRII, two eyes, so you can see. All right, welcome to another episode of the fastest 15 minutes. And today I would like to talk about apathetic Negroes and Negroes on the wrong agenda. So let's start off with the latter category first, Negroes on the wrong agenda. And this segment will star Dr. Umar Johnson. Okay, and I know I mess around with Dr. Umar a lot. And look, don't get me wrong. I love Dr. Umar. He's a good guy. He's not, he's a little confused in my opinion. These are, this is just my opinion. And I hope that you would study him and look at what he does. But here's my problem. My problem with him is that the agenda that he's pushing is full of hate, bigotry, racism, prejudice, all of that. Because the whole snow bunny, don't marry interracially, all of that is racist rhetoric, white supremacist rhetoric, and the reason why it's out there in the mass is because of what it is. Because it serves a place in the Christian nationalist, conservative, right-wing agenda. Because they don't want interracial marriage. But truth of the matter is, there are a lot of people from interracial marriages. And most of us, let's be honest, most of us are mutts. We're a hodgepodge. I don't care what race you consider yourself or whatever. You're a hodgepodge of a whole bunch of people. And I wish I had that chart. Maybe I can put it up when we do post production. All right, but there is a chart that talks about, right, like how many people it takes just to get to you, right? How many people does it take? Like you have so you have two parents, you have four grandparents, then you have the next would be 16 great grandparents, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. But the point that I'm trying to make, and I think the number was some crazy astronomical number, but the point I'm trying to make is that you are a hodgepodge of people. And even if you go to these genealogy sites and you do your DNA history, you will find out that you got all kinds of blood in you. That's my point. So the theory behind, you're going to destroy your race if you marry interracially, that's ridiculous. Like some of the greatest artists ever, some of the greatest musicians, some of the greatest artists, some of the greatest historians, some of the greatest doctors, some of the greatest lawyers, all of these people, there are people that have mixed ancestry that have done very, very well. As a matter of fact, when you break it down, that's what the whole melting pot thing was. And let's get back to the whole thing about the election and all that, because one of the real motivations, I'll say one of the real motivations behind all of this stuff is the diminishing white race, or their fear that they're diminishing. They're not really. They're on the right path according to the powers that be. right? So they're on the right path according to the powers that be. So what's the big deal? And nobody, and none of the indigenous people are really like against them or anything like that. Nobody's sitting up there going, oh, you know, let's get all the Caucasians and the Europeans in way. Never. So what's the big deal? It's just a unnatural fear. It's just like go about your life, live life, and have a good time. As a matter of fact, if y'all stop being so uptight, maybe your women might give you some. I apologize. Well, I don't apologize. But do you get what I'm saying? Do you understand that this is all spurred on by their fear of extinction, which is not going to happen? I mean, let's be realistic. You know, there are millions. You know, there are hundreds of millions of them too. Don't get the game twisted. There are like a lot of races with very small populations or whatever, and theirs happens to not even be one of the smallest populations when you break it down. So leave everybody alone. And the other thing is, people are going to love. Back to Dr. Umar, people are going to love who they love. Oh, because they're human. And what is that on that psychological thing? Like when you break it down, like the most, like after food and water is love. Food, water, love. Water, food, love. Love, food, water. Some people it's just love, you know, no food and water. Right? So we're doing stuff that's not even logical. Not even logical. And then for all you Negroes, my final segment, for y'all people that still think that apathy is going to win the day, what is the prize for not voting? The prize for not participating in the system? The prize for not participating in anything? What is the prize for that? There are no participation trophies in presidential elections and the nomination of corrupt Supreme Court justices. They're making movement. They done took away affirmative action. They done took away your bodily rights, your you know, the Roe v. Wade, abortion, whatever you want to do with your body, gone. 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 Right? Gone. So you tell me how any of this stuff was done through apathy, through an apathetic mindset, through saying, I ain't gonna do nothing, I ain't gonna vote, they ain't never did nothing for me, why should I do this, why should I do that, they ain't never did nothing for me. What have you done for yourself? And to all of the people that say, what have they done for black people? What have you done for black people? What have you done for black people? Go back to Kennedy. Ask not what your country can do for you, but what can you do for your country? Since you, and see, that's the, and see, so the final frame in that is that it is unpatriotic not to vote, considering that voting is the only way that you can actually change our system legally and according to the Constitution. And caveat to that, the Constitution was mostly written by a black man, or black men, should I say. Fact check me. And for y'all that are a little more elevated in age, look up there's stuff on the internet by Prince Rogers Nelson disclosing the history of the first presidents of the United States who were all black, and I believe there were 8 of them. So when you start saying that this is white people stuff, which is one of my favorites, oh, you acting white. Why you acting white? Well, guess what? Not acting white, I'm acting comedic. Because these things were written by Moors. John Hanson, and I believe that John Quincy Adams, John Hanson, who was a black man, and Thomas Jefferson were the real authors of the Constitution of the United States of America, and it is based on democracy premises, not that are Greek and Roman, but democracy principles that were Kemetic, and democracy principles that were Kemetic that they included, right, in that makeup, the way the Capitol, Washington D.C., that layout, that Masonic layout, and all of that kind of stuff. And that the mall, even Martin Luther King standing there, and all of that. He is considered to be one of the gods that is in that, because basically, what is that? It's like the Valley of the Kings, American style. So get it. So don't get it twisted. Get it straight. You need to participate in the system. The system is good. It's the people outside of the system that corrupt the system. Things like lobbyists who can pay people off to do things, or like the stuff that's going on with the Supreme Court right now. The reason why it's going on with the Supreme Court is why? Because it remained unchecked. Because they're not even functioning in the way that the Supreme Court traditionally and methodically has functioned. It's unheard of. It's unprecedented for them to decide so many cases so quickly in such a egregious manner. It's ridiculous. And that needs to be checked. Lobbyists need to be checked. The Supreme Court in its rogue state needs to be checked. Though Alito and Clarence Thomas, they need to be impeached. They need to be removed. There is evidence of corruption. It's there. There is no question about it. They need to be removed. The Electoral College needs to be removed. No need for it. When the Electoral College was conceived, there was literally like one printing press in the United States of America, and whoever owned that printing press owned all the propaganda and was able to get the candidates that they wanted elected. That's what endorsements are all about, and they're still going on to this day. And the fact of the matter is that somebody in Montana, probably not Montana, probably wasn't a state yet, but somebody in a state that wasn't, it wasn't Pennsylvania, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Richmond, Virginia, or one of those areas, they could pretty much dictate the election and dictate who could be president, just because of the sheer amount of numbers that they had and the power and control that they had through the media, through the press, through the propaganda that they could disseminate. So, with that being said, we don't need that anymore. There's like social media. Look, if you do something, trust me, it'll be talked about and everybody will know it in a few minutes. Trust and believe. Fastest 15 minutes is up. My name is Judson Powell. Hit all the buttons. I don't know what buttons are on anything anymore. I don't go to all those sites like I used to. Anyway, I love y'all. Vote and vote as an endorsement from Capri Television. Vote Kamala Harris.